covered a lot of dark sides of different industries, and it was requested by Bert that I cover the dark side of psychics and mediums. Scams and scandals pretty plentiful in the psychic medium genre.
No doubt. I mean, you want to believe, right?
You want
to believe that you can, the situation is clearly concluded, but opening it up to get some communication, you want to believe so badly.
I get that you want to believe, especially if you're trying to talk to deceased loved ones. So just some quick facts out the gate before I get into some of these scandals and scams. Business Insider says the psychic industry is worth $2 billion.
Damn.
And you have a family history with Houdini, correct?
Yeah, we are on the same family tree. His last name is Weiss.
Houdini set out to expose fraudulent mediums throughout the 1920s.
Is that right?
This was a huge passion of his, and he took down a lot of psychics and mediums. He had initially believed, although it was all fake, it didn't harm anybody. The death of his mother made him realize the harm these fraudsters were really doing, and he set out to reveal their tricks.
This is what we do on our family tree here. Yeah. We're all about good.
Which makes me go straight into Miss Cleo.
Yeah.
Because you did not see that one coming.
That was unfortunate.
Yes.
Who's Miss Cleo?
Oh, Miss Cleo from back in the day. So in the 90s and early 2000s, you would watch these infomercials from the Psychic Readers Network. And she was the one with the Jamaican accent that'd be like, call me now. And you would call up the phone line, and it was like you got charged stupid amounts of money to get a reading from either Miss Cleo or one of her many fellow psychics.
She was a pop culture icon.
Yes.
And the tie-in to the Bert Show here is that when we first started this show 23 years ago, we literally had no money for marketing at all. And I'm still not exactly sure how we got the call from Miss Cleo's people to say, hey, will you have her in studio and just do an interview and a couple of readings? And this is going to be one of our infomercials. So, we didn't have any money for marketing, no billboards. There was no online back then either. So I'm like, of course, bring her on in. She does a couple of days of readings and she blows us away. And then she and I become really friendly. She comes over to my house. We party. We're smoking weed together, playing foosball with Miss Cleo.
That's crazy.
Having the greatest time, right? Well, she finally gets exposed as sort of a fraud, right? And I stick up for her on national TV. I even call her on my way over to CN and go, hey, if there's anything you need to tell me about your past, will you please let me know now before I go on national television and stand up for you? And she said, in her Jamaican accent, follow your heart, baby. So I'm like, I love this woman. So I go on national TV, and I think I even said, I will risk my reputation that Miss Cleo is 100% real. And then the next day, she's like, I've never even been to Jamaica.
Yes.
It was a thing.
It was a huge
The documentary is really good.
Yeah.
So there was an HBO documentary that came out a couple years ago that was actually fascinating as far as an inside look into her life and everything that happened. Funnily enough, there is a Lifetime movie coming out this weekend called Miss Cleo, Her Rise and Fall.
Is that right?
So it's not a documentary. Yeah. It's nothing. It's an actual movie. Somebody will be portraying Miss Cleo.
She had skills, though. I will tell you, man. She did some things in here with listeners and with my family that blew me away.
She had a way with people, for sure.
She did, and she honestly felt like she had a gift. But this whole Psychic Readers Network, I mean, she wasn't even seeing a majority of this money. Abby, they were generating $24 million a month.
It's like OnlyFans money.
So, and I didn't know how the whole thing got exposed. So I found the story of how the whole Psychic Readers Network, Miss Cleo got completely exposed. So fresh out of journalism school, this guy, Matt Bean, he's an eager reporter, and Miss Cleo is at the height of her Psychic Network success. He's suspicious of the business. He began investigating and got a hot tip that the psychics were actually using a pre-written script rather than doing actual readings. He managed to get his hand on one of those scripts. He called to get a psychic reading, and they followed that script word by word, verbatim.
Wow.
After he reported that, the FBI launched an investigation, and the whole company got shut down in 2002.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. Lamar Kean was a very prominent Tampa-based medium in the 1960s and 70s. He would do something at his church where he would enter a trance state and appear to speak as the deceased. And he was speaking as a 17-year-old Jack who had passed away because his mother wanted to talk to him. And Jack told his mother, Lana, that she needed to donate thousands of dollars to the church. And so that's how he was scamming people. Now, one day, the mom asked Jack about the secret name he used for her. So, Kean is sitting here. He doesn't know the secret name that she had for her son, Jack. He goes over to her house. He's attending a gathering at her house, pretends to have a headache, goes into her bedroom and starts searching through her stuff. And he finds in a family Bible the name Apollonia. And he told her it was Apollonia. And that's how he pulled off the scam and he kept it going. Wow. So that's some of the things. Now, this is where this is where it takes a crazy turn. He confessed to being a psychic con man in his 1976 book, The Psychic Mafia, and outed everybody. So he said that they had there was an inside deal going on that all of these psychics would share information and then they'd share clients. So they would have this information before the client showed up so they would have hot readings.
What?
He said mediums shared client information so that they could conduct hot readings based on solid facts. He recounted how they would steal jewelry from clients for a few months only to pretend a dead family member's spirit had made it reappear, which usually resulted in a generous tip. He confirmed that mediums formed a vast network to fraudulently monetize people's grief.
Damn.
And wrote a whole book on it.
I'm not utterly shocked, to be honest with you. I mean, I do think that there are people that have these skills, but I think they're few and far between, and the rest I feel like are scammers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is crazy that this lasted for 30 plus years. From 1980s up until 2014 when the U.S. government shut it down, letters from a psychic named Maria Duval reached millions of people around the world, promising to solve all of their problems in exchange for cash.
Oh my gosh.
Recipients, many of them seniors, sent an average of $40 every time they received one of these mailers, right? After adding it up, CNN said that they collected $200 million just from the U.S. and Canada alone. They ended up scamming 1.4 million people in the United States.
Crazy.
So it was, Duval's son said that his mother was known locally in France as a psychic and that she had sold the rights to her name in a bad business deal. So she didn't know this was going on. And her deal was then used by shell companies to span millions. So according to CNN, she did not profit from the letters. Police raided her home in France, found no unusual amounts of cash in her safe or bank accounts. She also appeared to have little understanding of the scam because she was in a worsening case of dementia. And just last year, this was started in the 80s. Just last year, Patrice Runner, the man in charge of the operation, was convicted of conspiracy to commit mail-a-wile fraud.
This entire time getting away with it. Damn.
That's insane.
And he ended up getting sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Wow.
And they had to pay a bunch of money back. And so that's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
There's more.
I'm sure.
No doubt.
The Bert Show.